Hi there, and thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Bradley Knapp, and I'm with IBM, and we're answering your basic intro to computing questions and basic questions about cloud computing. And the question that I'm here to talk with you about today is one that we get on a pretty regular basis from young companies, startup companies, college students, and folks like that. And we see all the time about VMware. What is VMware? And so this is a topic that is one that gets asked a lot, right? It's one that we spend a lot of time talking about. VMware is a software company headquartered out in Palo Alto, California, that has software that allows for virtualization of almost every function of computing into what they describe as a software-defined data center. Now, that is a million different buzzwords. Don't worry about it. We're going to get into the details. But the important thing to understand is VMware is a standalone company. They're publicly traded. They sell their software. This is not free and open source. It's available for sale. And it is enterprise grade. It is designed for enterprise grade virtualization. If you're not sure about virtualization or the components of that, please check out the other videos on the channel. But with that, let's jump right in here. So imagine, if you will, you are a company and you have a large pool of physical servers, compute resources, sitting in a data center, and you want to get more efficient use out of them. Well, the way to do that is to virtualize them, carve them up into smaller pieces, and then use those pieces to run whatever workload you need. So, starting off our stack here, we're going to have our physical servers, and I'm just going to make, 6 of them, right? Do a little S in here, S, 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 S. This is physical hardware, right? And so we've said, all right, we want to be more efficient with that physical hardware. So now this is when we start installing the VMware software. The first 3 pieces, and these are the most important ones, are going to be the 3 layers that sit on top that virtualize our IaaS solutions, right? So that first piece is going to be virtualizing the compute piece. This used to be called ESXi, and now it's called vSphere. Right, so vSphere is what is going to virtualize the compute piece. Next, as we move up the stack, is the storage piece. So storage, how are we going to virtualize that storage layer? Well, we're going to use software called vSAN. And then the third piece of our IaaS pyramid, right, is going to be network. How do we virtualize network? Well, you virtualize network with the VMware product called NSX. So, using these 3 things together, we have a pool of compute resources, and we're going to be able to divide that pool up into virtual servers or virtual instances. This is our software-defined data center, right? Compute, storage, network. And so, we are then going to be able to provision virtual servers, and these virtual servers are only pieces of some of the underlying physical machines. And inside this virtual server, right, you've got your operating system, and then on top of it, you've got your application stack. Well, what if you're not doing a virtual server-based environment? What if this VMware cluster is going to be used for containers? Same general idea, right? So in that case, you're going to have your container kernel, right, your Linux kernel, and then on top of that container kernel, you're going to have your millions of little containers that you're creating and destroying and creating and destroying and creating and destroying, so on and so forth. And then the piece that I haven't talked about yet, and this is maybe some of VMware's best sauce, their magic sauce, is how do you control all this stuff? And so that is why, running across the side here, we have vCenter. vCenter is the control software that controls all of these things. It's got a wonderful little web portal. You can log into it, create and destroy as much as you want. Now, this software-defined data center, this is the infrastructure level component. And while it is incredibly important, this is 2021. This is the modern world. And we can't just have this in the abstract. We need more. And so let's talk a little bit over here about what's called the vRealize suite. vRealize is a bunch of different solutions that make running the cloud piece over here, the infrastructure piece over here, much simpler. So let's see here, VRealize. So vRealize, the two pieces that get talked about the most often are going to be VRA and VRO. That's vRealize Automation and vRealize Orchestration, or vRealize Operations, depending on who you ask. So you've got your VRA and your VRO. The automation piece is about automatically standing up and standing down virtual servers, about automatically standing up and standing down containers, automatically doing load balancing, automatically shifting virtual servers from one physical host to another because they need to resize it, automatic resizing, and so on and so forth. It is your automation engine. VRO, vRealize Operations, is all of the other components that are not that are not automating, but are monitoring and operating, right? You got lots of nifty little software tidbits in here to keep track of your infrastructure environment in real time. Other components that live within this vRealize world, you've got monitoring, you've got logging, you've got security components, and then you've got analytics and an analytics visualization engine. Again, this is the software stack that you need in order to run the physical hardware and virtual hardware that at the end forms the core of those enterprise workloads. So hopefully you've learned a little bit about what VMware is. If you'd like to learn even more, of course, anybody at IBM would be happy to talk with you about it. You can obviously reach out to us in the comments or get in touch with your IBM team directly, and we'll be happy to say, how can we work with you to integrate VMware to make your world better?